Hello, everybody, and let me once again greet our Indonesian friends. Selamat petang, Bapak Ibu, Saudara dan Saudari. Welcome to all of you. Some of you have known me as a professor or colleague, but today there are a lot of new attendees. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Susanne Ratri, and I teach at the University of Applied Sciences in Ulm, in Germany. Our talk today is a part of the intercultural design workshop that actually started in March, a workshop between my university in Germany and Sebelas Maret University in Surakarta. I'm very excited to welcome our special guest, Henry Kusbiantoro. He is a true role model for being intercultural, and his career is just outstanding. We are so excited to have you here today. Welcome, Henry.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone. So, I think it's kind of really nice topic about the interculture. And, I really want to share to you guys a little bit kind of mixing kind of about the journey and sharing about, some work. But I think the most important, I think we kind of, kind of absorbing what really want to achieve and gaining something from all of us, not just only for me. So, let me share the screen here. Okay, thumbs up. You can see all the screen here. Yeah, good. Okay, so just want to open with kind of, introduction about something that actually very important for me, but actually probably like will be something valuable for you guys to that always really important to talk. I'm thinking like this is like something that like I want to share to you. So if we want to repeat, I am open to grow, having a joy, and repeat. I am open to grow and having a joy and repeat. That's something that really in this kind of days, in this kind of year. So let's move to the next slide here. I am. So this is a little bit introduction of my journey from small town Bandung in Indonesia and go to Jakarta for a few years, actually very kind of short time working in small agency. Actually is pretty like a boutique agency in Jakarta, Leboye. And then I went to New York for a half scholarship from the Asia Institute of Foundation in 1999 for my master. And then, I got my first job as internship in Pushpin Studio, working with Seymour Quas, one of the New York illustrator, serving coffee in the morning, feeling the color, making sure, he's happy. And and after that I got my first job in small agency, actually is Chermayev and Geismar. And then after that a few years in Chermayev and Geismar, I'm very pleased in that place and working and learning a lot in that agency. And then after that I went to several years in Wolf Orleans in New York, one of one of the most controversial agency, and some of work like the Red Campaign, probably one of the highlight in my life. And then I I went to SF San Francisco 2006, and then for several years and going back to New York. So New York, San Francisco, California, going back to New York in 2010, joining back again with my one of my partner, Douglas Sellers, to work in, we used to work in Wolf Orleans in New York. And then after I work for Landor in San Francisco, I come back to New York to joining with him, working in Sig Gale, and then joining Future Brand, and then until right now. So that's kind of little bit very short thing, and just want to show to you like this is one of I was taking picture in New York in the neighborhood, which is like one of my favorite the picture in New York. And just kind of flashback, you guys, if you're student in UNS Solo, so you know like hey, so this is kind of my flashback, you know, like almost probably 25 or 30 years ago. I don't know, actually it's 1995. Uh, so it's my first trip actually. We'll go to Jakarta to check like some of the advertising agency. This is one of my professor in Indonesia. Probably, you know, maybe you guys, there is someone probably familiar. His name Pak Agung. And then just want to kind of, you know, like show you like this is a kind of a contrast between in Indonesia and in New York. I have kind of an honor, and I'm kind of humble to have one of the highest award in Transform Award. Actually, is one of the most important award in branding industry. I kind of, you know, like my team, actually the teamwork, we got received the gold in Transform Award. And this is actually my, beside me is one of my partner, Chief Creative Officer Sven Seeger from Hamburg, from Germany. So if you guys kind of familiar from Germany. So intercultural, something that actually is very familiar, and you know like is something that is very kind of, you know, like obvious, working interchangeable, you know, like at every country, having, you know, like different freelancer, different working place, is something that very normal, you know, these days. And I just want to kind of, you know, like share to you, in 2020 we have, you know, like the COVID situation, and is kind of, you know, like a pretty tough thing, especially for myself. In that time, you know, like this is several years before in New York, in my working place in Future Brand. And in 2020, actually, I was laid off when I already like worked for 8 years actually in Future Brand. So in that time, that was like a pretty tough thing for me. So, and I just want to share to you is, you know, like hardship, and then something that maybe kind of difficulty. And we will talk maybe in the Indonesia is kind of maybe saying like something that is not good. But if we want to say like in English, you know, hardship actually is the beginning of the new ship. It's a time for, I think in, you know, in the culture, we don't want to be kind of thinking like this is kind of something that is a shame or embarrassing to have, you know, situation laying off. I think laying off in America or in the US is something that very normal, especially in the business situation when COVID happened and then the business is not working well. And you know that is happening, and you know like the company has to decide to lay off some people. So that is something that, you know, like pretty normal there. But you know, I think maybe like for some people that actually is feels, you know, like something that embarrassing. But in the same time, actually that is a good thing that we can step back and kind of, like rethinking what we want to do. So that's kind of actually in my perspective about the hardship that, like I'm going through, thinking about, maybe should I thinking have a different different working place. I have been working for 20 years in branding consultant. Probably this is a good time to working in a more like in-house company, or is this maybe the best time to open myself? That's actually some of the, like an opportunity that actually that happening when the COVID situation is happen like this, or probably opening bed and breakfast in central of Java. That's not a bad idea, isn't it? So that's kind of, like something that, like I feel kind of is glad to share to you guys is about hardship and becoming a new ship. Something is a new opportunity that coming from something that is not good, and something is not like is the difficulty, and it's not like giving, maybe we are thinking, oh, this is something that is not beneficial for us, but actually there is opportunity behind that. And again, like I am open. That is actually the time when the hardship coming, that we need to be open ourselves. Is now, so like when we go to this is actually is really happened. I took a picture when I went to Chinese food, and then like the fortune cookie telling something here. Now is the time to try something new. So I think that's kind of, like when we have the hardship, something that new opportunity coming, I think we need to be open of that. What is opportunity that, like that will come? And we need to, probably is the time that ourselves to think about, like any. So it's not just only certain opportunity, but anything that possible. Anything that, opportunity that could be possible. Maybe it's a time to reflect that we need to think more about something else. Maybe, like we need to like maybe rework with our portfolio, or we need to think something that more positive instead of being negative. I think that's something, like we need to really work on it. And then in the same time, thinking about opportunity it is really not bad at all. And I am open. And then, the next time, and the next one is grow. So this is kind of very important to us. So after we are open to any opportunities, and then we are growing actually. Growing is something that actually is not easy, because it's challenge ourselves. We becoming kind of challenge ourselves. We are being more like professional, and thinking about like a positive thing inside and out. What I mean about positive inside and out, I want to say, like about, sometimes we think about connection, in the job place or in the working place. So connection is still very important to have connection. So, maybe we can open again our business card, like all the connection that we have, maybe calling them, calling the friends. Do you have any like new job? Do you have any new opportunities? Do you want to introduce me to someone else? Or in the same time, the negative side, we are being prejudiced, or even sometimes, like if we talk about culture, intercultural, it could be like going to the little bit kind of a sensitive thing. For example, like racism. Maybe we are thinking, oh, maybe I cannot get a job, I cannot get a connection because I'm not enough, or maybe maybe I'm this kind of like person, or probably maybe if you want to be like kind of being kind of like extreme about that, we are thinking something about our racism issue or something like that, so it's becoming prejudice. So that's something that we need to working on like really working on it with all our positive attitude inside and out. And then I think from the professional side, we need to think about opportunity also, like versus free money. So this is like against free money, opportunity or free money. So what I'm thinking about free money, sometimes we're thinking, oh, if I'm doing this job, if I have this opportunity, probably people try to taking advantage of me. Maybe like the work that I will try to to focus on that, maybe it's just like it's something that is not worth it. So there is always like positive and negative, but actually that actually is the best opportunity for us to thinking really positive about ourselves. And then the last one is a teamwork, and then versus one man show. So this is actually kind of important too, because like either we are thinking about ourselves, or just only about us, or only about ourselves, or only about me, or we are thinking about teamwork, or and always thinking about like teamwork is the most important than everything, beyond everything. So this is just some of a few uh, consideration from the intercultural kind of almost like attitude that we need to think about it, like positive, negative. There is not like evil or something that, or versus holy. This is not talking about that, but something that we need to really consider how we want to grow ourselves to become more professional, and put aside everything that negative in our mind, and really focus, just like keep it going, and doing like the best job that we can do. So I just want to share a little bit, like before I'm going to further. Uh, so first thing that I actually preparing myself when the pandemic happened, when the situation of laying off happened, is creating my own website, which is actually like has been postponed for years and years. Never happened before. So I create my own website, and that actually bring kind of beneficial, not just only for potential opportunities, but also like growing ourselves to think about what is actually the best uh, like really focusing on what we want to display in our work. That is the most important. Do we want to show something that all, or we just really focus on what we really think yet we are the best on it? So for example, like if we go to work, we don't need to kind of showing like a lot of things. We can just only show like very selective of work that we have. And sometimes not too many copy, not too many words is actually better, because like uh, the timing is very essential. So focusing on something that very important and highlight of our work is better than we are talking too many things. So one of the work that I want to share to you, this is so after the COVID situation happened, uh, I actually work as an independent contractor and working for a company, a starting company that actually is focusing on the pet industry, is a bug company. And I got hired as independent contractor for 6 months, and finally in January I had a full-time job and promoting to the creative director in Bach company. And actually the startup company, they have IPO day, which is actually is registered listed in the New York Stock Exchange. So I kind of leading the project and as a creative director for the total rebranding, creating the guideline, and like doing all of the rebrand work from scratch from the beginning. So there is opportunity that actually is coming from all the like the hardship that like in the beginning. That so I'm so grateful and so like really thankful about what's going on, what's happening, and actually bringing back to all, stepping back for a seconds, thinking about like how to make it like make it better. And in the like in the final thing actually is working well. And this is kind of the identity that the new identity that has been worked, has been like launched. And like the identity actually can be reflected in a different phases, like from illustration to photography to pattern. And like this is kind of the identity, like the idea of being kind of the window of the magic. So like you can have all the which is like this is the pet industry, the dog company. So you can see like how actually can be more playful and quirky in the same time. And we can have like the illustration, and this is kind of the brand universe of the identity, from the color, from the typography. And something that intercultural that we can see, this is kind of the sub brand of the identity, which is actually is kind of unique, that we can have the idea of the barking and the bubble speech from the barking, and that's creating all the sub brand for the bark, which like is very well pleased. And the acceptance is really well, and super happy with the work. And like very kind of like the sub brand transforming kind of successful here. So that's kind of the idea of the sub brand, but in the same time the family, the parent brand also working well cohesively. And this is kind of the icons. It's almost like a font, like like so that's kind of a real dog itself. And something that actually is kind of interesting from the typography standpoint, that actually is bringing from the Indian typography. So that's kind of like I just want to show you like very quick here, because I know the time is running pretty quick here. So I just want to close that and then coming back. So this is kind of the IPO day of Bark in the New York Stock Exchange. We are, like really super happy. And this is a real thing, and it actually happening a month ago. And this is in Times Square and in Madison Square Garden too. This is the illustration that becoming animation from the company that I have been joining as a creative director at Bach. And then the last time that I want to share to you about joy is all about, no, it's not just only about me, but it's all about you. So it's very important to share our work. Is not only about, like ourselves, but, thinking about making happy. And again, like in the end, I want to kind of, like final for myself, really important to always remember about I am open to grow, having a joy, and repeat again. Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Henry. Um, and also for encouraging us in times of pandemic crisis. I felt that I was not only encouraged for my professional life, but also for my private life. And this signal is very special, mainly for our students. Yeah, thank you very much. And but
Thank
now
you.
I think it's time to look at the question in the chat. But so far there are no questions. Since there are so many students here, Indonesian students and German students, but not only. We have a lot of participants from around the world, also professionals, as I can see. So my question would be, what is your advice for students who are starting out?
Really kind of, important question. We can, like really step back and thinking ourselves, like, and reflecting ourselves, and then focusing, like what we really want to do. Because, like, I think kind of in this day, we kind of being kind of influenced by industry. And sometimes, the industry kind of pushing us, like, oh, it's really about making money. That actually becoming, like the focus of the industry. And I think we need to learning from all this pandemic and learning of, like what actually the most worth it in our life. I think, something that we really want to think about, how we want to give impact to other people and to the community and even to the company. So if we are talking about
Mm.
industry, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. Giving to the, like if we are working for the industry, that is not a bad at all. But we always need to think about, for the starting for our career, what is actually that we can impact to ourselves and we are happy. Because beside of the happiness, what you guys working, if not happy and if not there is no joy, is all bullshit and it's a shit garbage. So
Good point. Very good point.
yeah.
Henry, could you have a look at the chat? There are actually three questions. Can you see them? The first is from a German student. Can you give me an advice? What is the best way to connect with big agencies? For example, in New York.
I'm sorry to say that if we are reaching like a lot of awards, that is a good starting point to kind of jump in to the like connection to the big agency in sometimes, like in international. So for example, if we have, like maybe like receiving a lot of awards in Asia, and then we have connection, and then, like we can starting to connect with the several agency internationally. Because it's not all this one is not everything, is all about collaboration. And there is a lot of very highlight Asian, like community in design for advertising agency or something like that. So, and everything is people, like very appreciate in Europe, in the US, with all the Asian talent. So, like there is not really nothing impossible. The only thing that, like I have to say, being kind of honest, that, like if we just only thinking about or depending to other people, it will not gonna work. Something that is really working well is just, like achieving, gaining ourselves, and then, like maybe like really highlighting our portfolio and like just focusing our best work, and then just try to connect with the agency that we want to go. So that's kind of the
Mm,
idea.
mm,
So I
yeah.
have kind of the example of my colleague, my partner that actually receiving award internationally in Indonesia, and then jumping to New York City or jumping to London or something. That's not big deal at all. Yeah. So the next one.
Yeah, there are so many. Uh, I pick one if you don't mind. I
Sure.
noticed that you worked briefly in Indonesia before moving to the US for your scholarship. Can you point out what are the differences of the working culture in Indonesia compared to US?
I don't see like actually is to be honest, there is like a big difference about like between Jakarta and international. So everything is always talking about professional. Sometimes like working even harder in Asia, in Jakarta, like working really late night. I think probably the most kind of comparison that we can talk about is talking about the efficiency. So that is something that we really want to learn about that. What I'm talking about efficiency is like like efficiency or repeating a work sometimes it's not beneficial at all. Like so for example, like we already have kind of like assignment of project, and several people in our company, in the same company, doing the same job. So that's something that actually sometimes is happening in Indonesia. So there is no like really, that is something that we want to kind of like thinking again, how to make it like more efficient in our working place, so we can have like the best result that we can achieve. So if we know that our partner already working the same thing that what we are doing, probably we need to stop and we need to think over. And like I think there is several things that like could be like think over about time efficiency, about professional and positive attitude. That actually is probably is the biggest thing. Like there is a little bit kind of thinking about like, oh, confidence actually is kind of maybe the most important to think over about that. But I think probably one of the obstacles that like we can find in probably like when I was like working in Jakarta is more about efficiency. That's something that we need to really focus and maybe like improve from that. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Henry. I have the impression that our time is up, unfortunately. It has
Yeah.
been a great honor to have you with us today. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody who has joined us. Many more, many more attendants than I had expected. Um, yeah, so I think there would be a lot of questions and so on for a follow-up session. But for now, I think let's say goodbye. Have a great rest of your day or some of the evening, especially in Indonesia. And Henry, you were so extremely inspiring and fulfilled all the wishes that I had, really, for
I
the
really want
students, of
to
course.
I really want to say thank you to you also, Susan, for setting up this meeting. I
Yeah,
really appreciate about all the effort that you gave to us. Yeah. And thank you everyone. Hopefully, like we can have a little bit more time to talk about and gaining something from this, especially in this kind of situation. And never give up and always thinking positive, always, like stepping back all the negative side and just focusing on, like the best work and being happy. Enjoy.